the mind almost can't get your head around the fact that Matthew Dellavedova may not be at Melbourne next season because of his play in the Championship Series and how good he's been. But he's attracting a lot of interest, Olgun, from other teams, and you can understand why.
Yeah, and look, Melbourne is one of those teams that their preference is to bring him back as well. We've spoken before about the contract situation with Delhi and what he wants. He wants a lot of money for a lot of years. That is the thing that teams are hesitant on. You look at him right now, he's in championship grand final, his championship series MVP form.
Yep.
That's what he's in right now. And you want to give that for next season, but committing to that for the 2 seasons beyond that, it's a little bit scary. So teams around the league, the Sydney Kings, the Brisbane Bullets, I think the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix are a team that could enter that race. But these are teams who are ready to show interest in Delhi, and they're figuring out the numbers on, all right, what do we offer him? Are we going to give him 3 years? If so, how much? If I'm a GM, I like the idea of a 3-year descending contract. He'd be 37 by the end of it. Giving what he wants now to a 37-year-old is a really tough ask for a team. But there are a lot of teams around the league who are looking at that and thinking, look at the way he's running this offense. We want him to be our floor general.
Halls, Delhi. I think if anyone was a safe bet to still keep their body in unbelievable shape at the end of that contract, it probably is Delhi.
Well, he does because he wants to make the 2028 Olympics too. So he's going to be doing everything.
He'll be 68 by then.
He's the ultimate professional. But those 2 teams in particular that aren't Melbourne are the ones that are fascinating. Because for the Brisbane Bullets, you can understand, okay, well, this is going to be a piece that we still need. We're still working on our culture. We're still building it in the right direction. You're laying then a foundation for the next 3 years of professionalism. Everyone who comes in is now going to understand the standard that Matthew Dellavedova would set. Yes, on court's one thing, but also off court. So that makes sense. The Sydney Kings, just go back and look at Brian Gorge's press conference all year. I want a point guard, he kept saying. I want the ultimate point guard. Well, there's probably no more ultimate point guard right now than Matthew Dellavedova. So that makes sense.
And they were another one that were a bit disjointed this year as well, and last year as well. They've had a couple of years of where relationships have been a bit challenging.
And again, so you look at those teams that didn't meet expectations this season, and you look at the teams that have. So as we said, recording this, Melbourne United and even the Illawarra Hawks to a degree, but the teams where the coach at some point doesn't have to do much. When it's a crunch time or at the big plays or things happen where you just say, I fully trust the people we have out there, led by Matthew Dellavedova and Chris Golding, of course, but you've been there, you've done it long enough where I'm hands off. It's a luxury to have, and that's why teams are going to be interested in him.
If he goes to Sydney, which you can see on screen right now, and again, we are just purely speculating at this stage, but if he goes to Sydney based on the contract situation that they already have and how many they've got under contract next season, Olgun, I mean, they're in unbelievable shape, aren't they? It doesn't guarantee a championship, but they are in unbelievable shape.
And particularly because if they do get someone like Delhi, that's another marqueable contract. And so there is financial flexibility elsewhere because they're able to marquee so many of your key guys. And that's something that Perth doesn't have the ability to do. The Illawarra Hawks don't have the ability to do outside of Sam Foley. So the ability to marquee these guys means that you have way more flexibility in other areas. It means that, you're marqueeing theoretically 3 guys, and then, mate, do we go and use an import spot on another guard spot? You can get a high-level guy because you're not deep into the luxury. So that's where the Sydney Kings, if this happens, they get a ton of flexibility.
You also give a lot of props to the individual at Delhi. When it comes to a contract year, you're playing your best fast with the right times. We're talking about Christian Doolittle as well, because all of a sudden people were talking, it's a lot of money that he wants, a lot of years. The way he's been playing this championship series, all of a sudden those 2 things don't really matter because he becomes so enticing what he can do for your club.
I love the fit of Brisbane too. Yeah. And this is with respect to Casey Prather and James Bateman and Tyrell Harrison, who are all under contract. But to me, it feels like they need to make a splash. They need to have a name that's just maybe a little bit higher up in terms of public awareness, but also caliber of player.
Well,
that's just my opinion.
You're spot on, but I'm starting to get worried there with how long it takes to get the coach sorted, because it's hard to then sign a player when he doesn't know who he's playing for. So we thought it was going to happen by now, and I'm sure they want it. The one thing is to get it right, firstly. So that's the most important thing. You want to make sure you get it right. But 2, it's hard to get a player to say, hey, come and commit here. Who's the coach? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Because you look at previous guys who've had Mitch McCarron sign 2 long-term deals to coaches that got either fired or left before he started that season. And that's not a position for a pro athlete to be in.
Yeah, from what I understand, I can see the Bullets having a head coach before free agency begins. It feels like it's going to happen sooner than later. The Cairns Taipans, different situation. They're a team that I think is prepared to go into free agency without a head coach. So they're in 2 different situations. With the Delhi thing is also that he has more value because if you're able to sign him up relatively quickly, then you can just sit back and relax a little bit until you have to go and get imports around summer league time, because at that point you'll have a good month or two to figure out, all right, we have Delhi. How do we build around this? What pieces do we want around it? You can watch this championship series and see just how effective different sorts of players are around Delhi. So if you're able to get him right away, again, it's so similar to the McDowell-White situation. You get him, you think, all right, we have time to think about which imports we want to get who are going to complement him.